in the last few class, we were discussing about the basics, which are the trigonometric functions. We have discussed about the 6 trigonometric functions. We have seen their domain and we have seen their range. Okay. Then we so what is the inverse of a function? Inverse of a function is possible or exists only when both the function is both 1 and onto. Then so if a function is from, suppose a function, you have a function, suppose f of x, or graphically show करेंगे तो you have your domain and your codomain. So suppose your function is from a to b. So उसका inverse किधर से होगा? f inverse from b to a, isn't
A.
it? Reversely,
Yes, sir.
yeah, we are finding the image of the pre-image of the image. So if a function is from a to b, then inverse is from b to a. And inverse is a function only when the given function is 1 and on 2. That means both sides have same number of elements. So of course the inverse of sine cos, sine का inverse हम ऐसे लिखते हैं कि sine inverse x. So yesterday I told you sine inverse x and sine x to the power -1, these are two different things. Sine x to the power -1 मतलब 1 by sine x. It is not the inverse. Okay, they are not equal. 1 by sine x. But sine inverse x, that means inverse of the function. So this is read as sine inverse x. So sine inverse x, we know that automatically देखो sine का domain the all real numbers, range the set of all real numbers between -1 and 1. So
1.
when we find sine inverse x, the range of trigonometry function becomes the domain, because it is coming, inverse is coming from second set to back, na, inverse, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, so that is why you can see all here the domain of sine inverse x is -1 1, set of all real numbers between -1 1. Domain of cos inverse x is set of all real numbers between -1 1. Now domain of tan inverse x, देखो tan inverse इधर लिखा है all real numbers. Domain of cotangent inverse x, that is also all real numbers. Domain of sec inverse x, sec inverse x the हमें पता था set of all real numbers other than numbers between -1 and 1, because it takes either values to the left side of -1 or equal to -1, or right side of 1 or equal to 1. So it will not take the values between -1 and 1, because sec and cosecant are the reciprocal of sine and cos. So sine and cos takes values between -1 and 1. So their reciprocal will takes values either 1 or right side of 1 or -1 or left side of 1. That is why cosecant inverse x and sec inverse x are, their domains are set of all real numbers except numbers between -1 and 1. Clear? So inverse function का domain समझ में आ गया? अभी आपको जितना मैंने बताया सब कुछ भूल जाओ, सिर्फ मेन पॉइंट ये आपको ये देखना है कि साइन इनवर्स एक्स. So sine trigonometry functions का range that will become the domain of the inverse.
Domain.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now the main point. So we know that yesterday we are discussing about that more. Just normally this is the graph of, you can see sine x. So normally the graph is not 1 1 and on 2, right? It is not 1 1 and on 2. So that is why, okay, now because we know that values between -1 and 1 only, if you take any value other than that between -1 and 1, you will not have any pre-image. It is also not on to 1 1, because different inputs are having, infinite number of inputs are having same value. So we have
Same
seen
here.
yesterday, so we can restrict the domain. So we have seen like this green portion. If I see this green portion, if you take this green portion, then we saw that that function is 1 1 and on 2. Okay, this is minus pi by 2
5/2.
pi by 2. Understood?
Pi-
So I told you
Yes,
not only this, you can take pi by 2 to either tak, or from
5/2.
here you can take up to here. Understood? But in universally this is fixed, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Okay, that is the important thing. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because yesterday we have seen we can take many areas like this. Only thing is अभी ये gap pi units का है, so you can add pi to that again. So pi by 2 से लेके 3 pi by 2 तक, और 3 pi by 2 से लेके 5 pi by 2 तक, 5 pi by 2 से लेके 7 pi by 2 तक, ऐसे like that you can take. But universally one particular area is fixed, that is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. That is why it is known as principal value branch. That means whenever we find, so that is fixed, so range is fixed, range is up. इधर देखेंगे तो range क्या आना चाहिए था? All real numbers, right? Isn't it? Sin inverse x का range.
Yes.
But if you take like that, it is not 1 1 and on 2, so inverse does not exist. So what we did is we restrict the range, or we restrict the domain of the trigonometry function. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, we will consider only minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. In that particular area, sin x
1.
is 1 1 and on 2, so inverse exists. Okay, so that value is known as principal value branch. Now even if you forget everything, just forget everything, just remember this principal value branches. So whenever you want to find sin inverse x, for example, when you want to find sin inverse of 1 by 2, okay, so what you have to do is we have to find an angle between minus pi by 2 and pi by 2 such that sine of that angle is 1 by 2. Got it? Understood? Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we know that there are infinite number of angles are there whose sine is 1 by 2. But once we restrict the domain like this, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, that is known as the principal value branch. So whenever we want to find sine inverse of something, so domain is set of all real numbers between minus 1 and 1, you have to find the angle between minus pi by 2 and pi by 2, or minus 90 degree and 90 degree. So there will be only one angle, because here you can see here the value is minus 1, then you are moving towards right side getting 0, and then up to it is increasing up to 1. So it is when we move from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, the values are moving from minus 1 to 1. That means there exists one and only one value between minus pi by 2 and pi by 2 whose sign is 1 by 2. So here we can say sine inverse 1 by 2 is which angle? 30 degree, that is pi by 6.
5/6.
Got it? That is the principal value branch. Clear? That is the main point I wanted to tell you yesterday. Once this is the important thing. You can forget everything now, no problem. Now you see, for cos का भी आप देखेंगे तो it is not 1 1. So where we are restricting is the principal value branches. We are considering from 0 to this one, 0 to 1. See this one, this area I drawn it with the green. Can you see? 0 to pi. Can you see? This is 0, this is pi. Clear?
Yes, sir.
That is the principal value branch. That is, so you see, you can take from pi to 2 pi also, or 2 pi to 3 pi also. But universally,
Even.
it is accepted
Yes.
that the
0
principal
to
value
pi.
branch is 0 to pi. So whenever you want to find cos inverse x, cos inverse of a particular number, you have to find the angle between 0 and pi. Okay? Similarly for कोसिकेंट, कोसिकेंट का ग्राफ तो लेफ्ट साइड देखो इधर, कोसिकेंट. So cosecant, the principal value branch is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So minus pi by 2, here you can see this. This is the graph, this red portion. Can you see? See? This is minus pi by 2. This is pi by 2. But you can see that 0 में function defined नहीं है. Because sine 0 is
Yes.
0. Sine 0, 0 है तो cosecant is not defined. That is why cosecant inverse का. So this is a principal value branch. Cosecant inverse. Whenever you want to find cosecant inverse x, you want to find the angle between negative 90 and 90 degree. Negative 90 and 90 degree. Provided 0 means except 0. 0 is avoided. Okay, that is a principal value branch. Got it? Similarly, secant. Secant का देखो, secant का ऐसे फिक्स किया है कि it is from 0 to pi. This one I am just drawing with the red color. You can see this is 0, this is pi, and here you can see that pi by 2 में function defined नहीं है. So that is why principal value branch of sec inverse x is you have to find the angle between 0 and pi except pi by 2, because pi by 2 में sec inverse defined नहीं है. Clear? Now tan inverse x, tan x का graph देखो. So we will restrict the domain like this, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. That means only this middle one, this one. This is one principal. We took this as a one principal branch. This red color you can see. In that area पूरा values ले रहे हैं ना. Okay, this is minus pi by 2 here, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. But you can see that at pi by 2 and minus pi by 2, the angle is tan is not defined. That is why set of all real numbers between minus pi by 2 and pi by 2. This is open interval. Minus pi by 2 is not included. Pi by 2 is not included. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And cot inverse x. This is cotangent x. So it's, you can see I will draw with the green. So we are considering the principal value branches. This red one, this green. I am just marking it as red, green for you. This is the principal value branch, and that is nothing but 0 to pi. That is why cotangent inverse x, the principal value branch is set of all real numbers between 0 and pi. Okay, why we restrict the domain like this? If you normally this will become, this domain of trigonometry function will become the range of the inverse trigonometry function. But if you take like that, the inverse is not a function, so we have to restrict the domain. These are the restrictions, and this is known as principal value branch. The idea clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, now you can forget everything, no issue. Just forget everything, no problem at all. So आपको इतना याद रखना है कि whenever you want to find sine inverse x, you have to find the angle between minus pi by 2 and pi by 2, including both. When you want to find the cos inverse x, you have to find the angle between 0 and pi, including both 0 and pi. The principal value branch of cosecant inverse x is set of all same as, देखो cosecant x का principal value branch is same as sin inverse x का principal value branch. Only thing is cosecant x is not defined at 0, so that is avoided. याद रखने के लिए इसी है, isn't it? ऐसे connect करके पढ़ाई कर लेना. Then sec inverse x का principal value branch is same as the principal value branch of cos inverse x, but only thing is pi by 2 में cos x 0 होते हैं, तब secant x is not defined, so that pi by 2 is avoided. चार clear हो गया? And tan inverse का भी same as sin inverse x, but n points are not there. Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, but n points are not there. Cot inverse x का same as cos inverse x, 0 to pi, but n points are not there. That's the difference. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that is very easy to remember. Sin inverse x का set of all real numbers between minus pi by 2 and pi by 2. Cos inverse x a set of all real numbers between 0 and pi, including both 0 and pi. Sin inverse का reciprocal means sin inverse का sin x का reciprocal था cosecant, so उसका inverse x का same as sin inverse x आएगा, but only thing is 1.0 we have to avoid. Sec inverse x का principal value branch is same as cos inverse x का same value आएगा, but pi by 2 avoid कर लेना. Then tan inverse का same as sin inverse x, but n points नहीं है. Cot inverse का same as cos inverse x, but n points नहीं है. So just remember, अभी आप पूरा theory भूल जाओ, nothing, no issue at all. Just remember this principal value branches. Clear? That is the most important thing we have to know. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now I want to show you some other things. So now some properties are there. Now we are going to do the problem. Before going to do the problem, I just want to tell you some properties that will make your problems very, very easier. Then I will go to that. Because there are some properties of inverse trigonometry function. Once you know the properties, now remaining is very, 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 very simple. Some basic properties are there. Yeah. Its proof is also there in the textbook, but आप याद रख देना. देखो, क्योंकि वो नेगेटिव एंगल आया है तो थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन अवॉइड करने का. साइन इनवर्स सपोज नेगेटिव एंगल, नेगेटिव एक्स. So whenever negative comes, always there is some confusion. So we will use some formula. Sine inverse of negative x is same as negative sine inverse x. Okay. Similarly, sine उसका reciprocal is cosecant inverse. Okay. Cosecant inverse minus x is, ये इसलिए प्रॉपर्टी बता रहे हैं कि थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम करने में बहुत आसान होगा. इट इज माइनस cosecant inverse x, and sine and is reciprocal, and tan inverse negative x, it is same as negative बाहर आएगा tan inverse x. For other three, जैसे cos inverse minus x, it is pi minus cos inverse x. उसका reciprocal sec inverse minus x, which is pi minus sec inverse x. Cotangent inverse minus x, which is equals pi minus cotangent inverse x. Okay. These formulas, there are many formulas are there, many simple properties are there. All those properties are not part of your syllabus this year, but some properties I will tell you which will help you to solve problems. Okay, so this is very important. Whenever a negative angle comes inside, whenever negative angle comes, we may get some little bit confused. So just to avoid that confusion, I have given you this formula in the beginning itself. I'm sorry. So you will be able to do the problems very comfortably. So याद रख देना, sin and is reciprocal and tan, इसके लिए अंदर नेगेटिव आया तो सिर्फ नेगेटिव बाहर निकाल देना and angle पॉजिटिव हो जाएगा. cos and is reciprocal and cotangent के लिए pi minus cos inverse ऐसे आएगा. ठीक है, keep that in mind. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now
Yes,
we
sir.
will. So now इतना ही है. So main point. Now you just remember these points. One, these formulas. Then principal value branch.